All right, everybody. This is In Liberty and Health, episode number 8. I got Zach Bellante. Did I say that right?
You nailed it, bro.
Nice.
I'm
Zach,
talking
Bel
about.
nice. Zach Bellante from Death Comes Lifting. I've been checking out his gear and his podcast recently. I love the gear. I love the message. I love what he's all about. We were talking a little bit off air about personal stuff, music, all sorts of stuff, and I think it's gonna be a great show, and I'm really excited to have him here. So, without further ado, Zach, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me on.
Of course.
Saying that again officially on air. Honored to be here. I'm always kind of I'm sure you get this too. I do podcasts. You do your own podcast, so it's kind of like it's fun to do them. But when someone asks me to come on their podcast, I'm like, are you sure you want me on your podcast? Like, I'm not gonna fuck this up or anything. Like, why? So I'm always humbled and honored at that. So thanks, man.
Nice. Of course.
And yeah, I run this stupid little health and wellness company called Death Comes Lifting. Uh, our slogan is fitness for the misfits, and I try to provide just that, a safe place that the weirdos can come and work out and get in good shape and it cool and accepted within underground heavy music circles and horror conventions and things like that where I grew up as a kid. And being a gym person in that whole world, I always felt kind of out of place on either side of the coin. So I really felt the need to make these two worlds come together, and started with a few shirts. And lo and behold, 5 years later, we have basically every kind of merch thing you could ever want, and a whole podcast and a community. And it's really grown kind of beyond my dreams. As corny as that sounds, it's true. So thanks for being a part of it, to you and everybody listening.
Awesome. Well, yeah, like I said, I'm very, very happy to have you here. And as we were just kind of shooting the shit earlier, I love having more holistic health, based kind of people and people in the exercise and wellness kind of world. What you're doing is very, very unique because, as we were saying off air, the heavy metal horror scene kind of world, although those are two different things for the most part, somewhat,
Yeah, somewhat.
they there isn't a big health and wellness kind of deal. There are like the straight edge hardcore kids who I
Mhm.
guess kind of have that health kind of approach, but it's not quite as obvious as it would be in necessarily other niches. But it's really neat to see you kind of bring that to the forefront with a really unique brand that I think even appeals to people kind of outside of that.
Well, thanks, man. That was always my goal too. When I came to people with this idea, a lot of people are like, that's super niche. I can't see
Mhm.
it being really successful because you have like the lifting gym world that's kind of niche, and then you have heavy music and horror that's kind of niche, and putting those two together is even more like I don't know, but
Mhm.
like you'd really be surprised, man. I mean, like we the freaks are strong out there, and I always wanted to kind of make this a brand that would transcend. Like, you don't have to go to the gym, you don't have to like fitness to wear my clothes, or the Death Comes Lifting apparel. And you don't have to necessarily like horror, heavy metal, and punk rock if you want to work out in it too. There's plenty of people that don't. It amazes me, our audience. I call them the Lifting Dead Army, our supporters, everyone that has our shit. They send us pictures and they tag us in our Instagram. That's where we do everything. And it's everything from the craziest tattooed power lifters that you would expect
Mhm.
to moms dropping their kids off at fucking jujitsu practice. And like, it's everything in between. And it warms my heart to see that, because I really wanted to make it for everybody. And those that get it, and those that don't, we don't need them to.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. And especially hearing kind of how you refer to it as the lifting dead army, you really seem to have your brand nailed. And I think that's so cool, especially in such a niche environment and when, people really kind of flock to that. And, I see all your posts and kind of the way the website's laid out and your merch and just everything top to bottom, I think is really unique and has the brand's just incredibly recognizable, and I just love everything about that you have a very recognizable brand, and that even there's a little bit more of a wide range of people who you wouldn't necessarily think would appreciate it, but do.
Well, yeah, man, thank you. And the reason, I think anyway, how it became to be like that is, I treat this like it's my band, you know, and right now I happen to be the lead singer of this band, and I'm influenced by, you know, the Misfits, Black Sabbath, Rob Zombie, Marilyn Manson, fucking Slayer, like the Danzig, all those guys. Like that's what I grew up on. That's what I grew up listening to. I did not go to school, college. I have no idea how marketing works. I have no idea how business works. I look at my heroes and bands and art and just try to emulate what they do. And I think the best bands, you know, image wise and marketing wise, they kind of are still around and stand the test of time for a reason. And I just studied that shit and I put it into my brand, and that's how I do things, man.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's to get, it's how I continue to do it. And it's been fun for me, you know.
Mm. I guess one question I had, you mentioned Black Sabbath there.
Oh yeah,
We're
man.
probably gonna get a little bit off on a tangent here, but uh, what would be your kind of top three Sabbath albums?
Oh man. Okay, let's go. My number one is
Mm.
Sabotage. That's my favorite one. It's
Okay.
the last one with Oz. I fucking love that album.
Hmm.
Sabotage. Number two would have to be Master of Reality.
Hmm.
And I'm a big Ozzy era fan. I love the Dio
Hmm.
stuff. But I'd have to say number three would have to be the first album, Black
Hmm.
Sabbath, the self-titled. I also love, though, probably my fourth favorite album, and not many people know this. I don't know how into Black Sabbath mythos you are. They have a
Hmm.
whole era where Tony Martin was the lead singer
I'm
of
not that
Sabbath.
familiar with it.
Do you know
I've
about
only
it?
heard good things. I know about it, but I've heard a lot of good things, and it seems kind of like it flies under the radar a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not on like Spotify and shit. You have to either have like the physical media or look it up on YouTube. But I have the tape here, and my one of my very favorite Sabbath albums is Headless Cross, and this is
Okay.
it's Tony Martin era. He sings on it, and it's like spooky. It's like a perfect kind of combination of Dio and Ozzy. You know, it has like the power metal vibes of Dio, but it's like doomy like Ozzy. It's fucking great.
Wasn't
So
that album came out in I think it was 96, right?
the Headless Cross, it is 89,
Oh,
1989.
really?
Headless
Because
Cross. Yeah.
I had that album downloaded. I could have swore it was 96. I might be thinking about something else. Kind of the reason why I asked that is because, it's a heavily debated topic when you start talking about Sabbath. If you tell
Oh
people
yeah.
you like Dio, some people think it's like heresy. But man, I'll tell you what, Die
Oh,
Young, Heaven and Hell, Mob Rules. I mean, some of that stuff's fucking amazing. And like I said, some people think you're a heretic if you tell them, well, Dio's pretty good too with Sabbath.
oh dude. Yeah. I mean, I love all Sabbath. There's nothing, there's just ones I love more and ones I love less, you know. That's
Yeah,
why
fair enough.
I hate even like ranking them, because like I love them all. I'll listen to Dio all day long, but I
Mhm.
prefer Ozzy. I think that's that just inner depressed stoner kid in me that really connects with that shit, you know. And it's just catchy, you know, and
Mhm.
it's classic, you know. I put on something like Paranoid, and you're immediately back in 1972, you know. And I
Mhm.
think that's a special thing that not all music can do.
Yeah, when you think about certain songwriters like Ozzy, I'm sure he would probably even agree, was definitely not the most melodic singer. But you look at Dio and he's incredibly melodic. But there's differences there that are, some people may prefer someone that's a little bit more of a straightforward songwriter like Ozzy, where Ozzy's a little bit simpler, but it's easier to kind of catch, it's easier to digest
Oh
versus
yeah.
Dio, where Dio's a lot more melodic and that may be for a little bit more of a specific kind of ear.
I love that the hellhounds are in the background as we talk about Dio. That's awesome.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know. My dogs are going crazy downstairs. The
that's
fire alarm's
awesome.
probably
Yeah,
going off.
they heard like the wild wolves of Dio. Um, no, yeah, I completely get it, and I actually have, I don't know how deep you investigated the my podcast, but every Sunday
Mhm.
I do a Sabbath Sunday podcast with my
Mhm.
patron page, and every week I go over a new album and we just talk about like lifting and Sabbath, and it's
Mhm.
oftentimes really stupid, but it's really fun, and that's my way of introducing. the world to all eras of Black Sabbath and
Mm.
basically tell people, why I love it. And we pick out songs and stuff. It's a fun, nerdy thing to do. So yeah, Sabbath is probably my favorite band of all time if I really had to think about it.
Okay, yeah, I was listening to your Sunday one for Blizzard of Oz. I can't remember how long ago that was, but those one I was listening to this morning right before I took my dogs for a walk. Um,
Oh, that's cool, man. I appreciate you listening. And I'm also sorry that you wasted your time listening to both of those things.
No, no, not at all. I kind of want to make sure I'm familiar with my guests before we start shooting the shit, so I don't look like an asshole on my own podcast. Well, I'm sure I don't need any other ways to do that.
I was gonna say, I'm sure I've done that many times, bro. So no worries.
Yeah, so I guess moving on to a different topic, what does your training kind of look like? You mentioned yoga a bit, and I just kind of what does your week look like when it comes to training?
I honestly wish I had a really good answer for you here, but it always changes depending on what my goals are and what my cycle is like. During the pandemic, it really changed a lot because, as you know, we were all confined to what we had in our house.
Hmm.
Or, if we knew somebody with a gym or everybody's situation was different. And I really focused a lot on calisthenics and yoga. And I've done yoga for fuck, I'm 27. Since I was 16, I've done yoga. So I've been doing yoga for like over 10 years. And that's something I keep in my routine always. And if somebody asks me like what's your favorite thing to do, like if I had to pick one form of physical activity, I would do yoga. As much as death comes lifting's in the name and
Hmm.
whatever, I love yoga. I think it's all around. You can get strength, you can get cardio, you can get
Absolutely, yeah.
flexibility, and it focuses on your internal health too. It detoxifies your organs. It makes you breathe better. It purifies your blood, your mental health. I mean, I could talk for an hour about how much I love yoga. That being said, I always keep that in. Right now,
Hmm.
I'm trying to gain a little mass, and I'm back on a more power building type split, So one day is like a leg day where squats the focus. One day is back day where deadlift is the focus, and then you have a bench and arms kind of bodybuilding day, and that's what my week looks like. 4 lifting days. I do yoga probably 4 or 5 days. Right now, I'm not so concerned about cardio, but I like to keep my cardio, in check. So I'll go out and run a mile or two just to like prove to the world I can do it. If like the zombie apocalypse happens and I need to
Yeah.
fucking bust out a mile or two, like I want to know I can do it, but I'm not trying to like beat John Joseph or anything like that. So it goes by feel. But over the summer, I was doing a lot of yoga and doing a lot of cardio and was staying lean and wasn't really lifting as much heavy iron. So it goes back and forth. And for someone as manic as me that needs like different interests throughout the year, I like to switch up my training and kind of be a jack of all trades, master of none, as I like to say.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I've always heard it said, and I completely agree, that all movement is good movement. I try to
Yeah.
walk as much as possible. Last summer, I was insanely focused on cardio. I kind of, the way I lost some weight, I did a carnivore diet for about 2 years, and I've since gone off of that. But last year, I was doing tons and tons of cardio. I ran 100 miles over the course of a month in June, and then last October, I ran a half marathon, and that was a terrible idea because I hadn't ran in like 2 months.
Yeah.
And I was trying to also, I was burning the candle at both ends essentially. So now my training more so looks like a full body split 5 days a week with, at least a half hour worth of walking every day. And I usually shoot for about 10,000 steps, but I normally get anywhere from like 12,000 to 15,000 steps a day.
Badass, man. So you do your full body 5 times a week?
Hmm.
That's cool, man. How's that? I mean, I guess that it takes adjusting, your body adjusts to anything, right? So you can totally pull that off. I don't think I've ever done like a full body split that many days though, which is
Yeah,
cool.
it was interesting because I did bro splits for the longest time where I'd work, pretty much one muscle each day of the week. And then
Okay.
I kind of did like a push pull leg split for a while. And then I got a X3 bar around when the pandemic was we were about 6 or so months in. So that way I had a good kind of lifting system for at home. And I did that for a little bit, and then I moved on, went back to push pull legs, and then now I started doing a full body split. But basically, the idea is just that you keep your volume low enough that you're not sore the next day, and you also kind of split it up, so it's not like you're doing deadlifts every day. I kind of chop it up where it's like deadlifts Monday, squats and bench Tuesday, deadlifts Wednesday. Squats and press on Thursday, and then Friday's another day deadlifting, and then reverse that for the following week.
That's cool, man. That's interesting. I'll have to talk to you about that when I need to switch up my training. I'd like to hear, more about what you're doing. That's cool. I'm always looking for different splits, whether I'm writing programs for people, doing things myself. That's another thing. I make so many different programs for so many different kinds of people that like I feel the need as a quote unquote fitness professional to kind of practice what I preach. I like to do everything so I can put it into a functional program for somebody. So I'm my own guinea pig, and that kind of, it's good, I think, for your mental health and to, stay sharp and learn new things, but it also can kind of impede your progress if you're really trying to focus on something. You do all kinds of different shit, you kind of lose sight of like one main goal. So kind of always going crazy with that, but it's all cool, man. Anything's better than nothing. At the end of the day, I don't know where you stand on it, but I'm not trying to fucking break any records. I'm not trying to win any awards. I'm not trying to get on stage in a fucking Speedo. Like I'm trying to stay in really good shape and feel good and help people. That's where I'm at.
Of course, and there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah.
I think we all kind of understand our place, and you see some people who are bodybuilders, and I think a majority of people would be delusional if we thought we could get as lean or as big as them. Obviously we have all genetic potentials of different ranges. We're never going to know our full genetic potential, but I guess the argument there would be you should just try your best to find out. But when you don't look like Ronnie Coleman, you shouldn't exactly be surprised, because he's kind of one in a million. He's the exception. He's not the rule.
He's the king, man.
Absolutely.
You can't compare yourself to the king.
Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of people do. And I guess that kind of tags on to another point I kind of want to get talk to you about is that when you look at people like that, and when you talk about the fitness world, I think people do oftentimes have unrealistic expectations where they kind of want to have that single digit body fat percentage, and they may be pretty overweight. And I'm not putting people down like that, but sometimes I think people need to understand that, like, okay, well, your goals need to kind of be a little bit more based in reality where, there's been a lot of science recently that I've been reading up on that slower weight loss is a lot better than faster weight loss because you help maintain lean mass, you maintain your metabolism. And, we should kind of get people more into the mind of, look, let's get you to lose weight slowly, and your physique goals need to be kind of more based in reality. You shouldn't expect to be single digit body fat percentage year round because there's a very, very small amount of people who can maintain that year round. And it's just not realistic for people to get there, despite what they may think and what some fitness influencers may tell them.
Sure. Absolutely. Slow and steady always wins the race. As cliche as that is, it's a cliche for a reason. And if anybody knows anything about bodybuilders or anybody, even actors peaking for a movie, they look like that for that week or that day that they're on stage or that day they're doing the photo shoot. And they start that process, if they're doing it in the right way, 3 months before the fucking pictures are even taken. Easily, right? Yeah. So there's that whole thing that, people need to understand that don't understand. And, not everybody understands that. Why would they if they're not in this kind of realm? I didn't before I, got educated. I'm like, oh, that's what, Arnold always looks like. That's fucking Arnold, So I get that. But I think, what's even worse now is, I hate to sound like an old guy bitching about social media, but like Instagram, you know what I mean? And social media where
no, you have a point. Yeah.
It's not like, Mr. Olympia happens once a year and you see all these dudes and chicks in like great shape and like, whoa, it's like every day, especially if you're in the fitness world, you have to post a picture of yourself working out or, a client of yours working out. And as somebody who represents a fitness brand, I know I'm speaking personally for myself and I know it's bullshit, but even I feel the pressure to be on top of my game. Like I feel the pressure to be at a low body fat and look good for Instagram, you know.
Mhm.
And if I'm aware of that and I feel that, how many people are really feeling that, you know, especially younger people and girls and the whole, you know,
Absolutely.
body image thing. I think it's really dangerous, you know, and I think a lot of fitness influencers kind of put that out there on a daily basis, you know, that, you know,
Mhm.
you could be so shredded year round. And I've tried to do that, and I can tell you that it sucks. You know,
Mhm.
you might look good in the mirror, or you know, your girlfriend probably doesn't fucking give a shit either.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know,
actually, yeah.
yeah, they don't care. And you're not as happy, and you don't perform as well in anything. And you know, it's way overrated. So I think people need to keep that in mind too. That you know, Instagram's not reality, and those people are fucking
Absolutely.
miserable 9 times out of 10. And I've been one of those miserable people.
Right, right. So about a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago, I was the leanest I've ever been in my adult life. I was 179 pounds. I had visual abs. I looked pretty damn good, but my God, my energy was so low. And I'm like, man, I'm super light. And, I still have some fat that I want to get rid of, but like,
Yeah,
I feel like shit.
yeah,
I don't feel good at all. So that's when I knew, all right, I need to do a reverse diet. I need to start creeping up calories. I need to go back to maintenance. I need to hit the weights a little bit harder and feel good for a while. So, um, tagging on to what you were saying there, it's absolutely true that social media really does push out this unhealthy image for people because you see these fitness influencers who a lot of the time those pictures aren't current either. These
that
people take
too. Yeah,
they take tons of pictures with perfect lighting, and they paid for these pictures. They may even be edited. These people are on performance enhancing drugs. They feel like shit at the time. Whatever. They put those pictures out year round, like they're always like that. When, like I was saying earlier, a very very small amount of people can maintain single digit percentage body fat year round, being natural or even unnatural. But
mhm,
your body has so little fat that you're hungry, your sex drive is low, you're tired, you don't have energy to work out. And what I would encourage people to do, especially people like that in that situation, go to maintenance. Eat at a maintenance level of calories where you're not losing weight. Maybe even put on a little bit of body fat so you feel a little bit better. You can perform better. And then, not only are you going to see better, gains in the gym, you're going to feel better. Everything's going to be better. And then if you really want to get lean, you can get lean, but just don't expect to stay that way the entire year. And don't act like everybody can maintain that because, once again, not very many people can maintain an incredibly lean physique for long periods of time.
sure. I mean, yeah, the fact of the matter is there are genetic freaks out there that can do it,
Absolutely.
and more power to them. And for those people like that you were just talking about, that fitness influencers that pay for these professional pictures and they're
Mhm.
perfect and they take, you know, performance enhancing drugs and that's their bag, I say do it, man. Fucking
Yeah.
good for you. I'm not putting that down. But what trips me up is people think that that is going to make them happy, you know, when
Hmm.
that's connected to happiness. I need to look like that person, or you know, live their lifestyle, and then I'll look like that and I'll feel better about everything. And anybody in the fitness world can tell you that while having a six pack is sweet and everything, it doesn't make you happy. In fact, oftentimes it's the opposite. And maybe, you know, that's why we put so much into it, you know. So it doesn't make you happy. And I really want to focus on putting that image out there too, that, you
Hmm.
know, we're just trying to live healthy lifestyles, you know, my clientele base, I'm just trying to get in good shape, get
Hmm.
healthy, but it's connected to your mind and your spirit too. Like what makes you really happy. I'm sure, you know, and it's not about winning a bodybuilding contest, or looking, you know, perfect.
Right, right. So, I have current physique goals. So that's kind of why I personally weigh myself every day and watch what I eat.
Mhm.
But for some people, they may not feel that's healthy. They may feel like that's too much for them. Um,
Yeah.
and, the scale can be a little bit traumatizing and jarring for people. I even have trouble with this because I was thinking about this yesterday. But you know, that number on the scale doesn't represent your worth as a human being. And if you're shredded, you're jacked and tan, and you can lift all the weight in the world, what does it really mean if you have terrible relationships, you don't feel good, and you don't operate properly in your everyday life? Is that really worth it? Personally, I don't really
Right.
think so. You should optimize your training and even your diet for the highest quality of life. And if that means, having a cheat day and eating cheesecake with your wife or whoever, once a year, going out to the Cheesecake Factory and enjoying a dinner or whatever, having ice cream on a nice day. Um, if that's highest quality of life at that moment, then you should enjoy that. And you shouldn't feel bad about it. But, obviously there's shades of gray here. If you're enjoying ice cream every single night and it's causing you to gain weight, you don't feel good anymore. All right, well, then now we have to work perhaps in the other direction. But, I think people should try to optimize their diet, their lifestyle to their highest, quality of life versus where people sometimes think that it's just the most optimum physique and I gotta lose these 50 pounds tomorrow to feel
Yeah.
where I should be.
Exactly, and that's why something I preach, and one of my main influences in the fitness world and philosophy world is Bruce Lee, and
Mhm.
he emphasized balance, and that there's a
Right.
give and take, and be like water, my friend. You must go with the flow, man.
Mhm.
And that's why I don't give any cool answers to any of these questions. Like, everybody wants a black or white. Like, I need
Mhm.
to be doing this and I need to be eating this. And are you vegan or are you paleo? And my answer
Mhm.
is sometimes, I'm a
Yeah.
little bit of everything. I feel like you should do everything. And I feel like you should have a cheat meal once in a while, but you shouldn't
Mhm.
have 20 cheat meals,
Right.
it's just it's really life is really about balance, and
Mhm.
I think it's kind of the key to well-being and peace of mind. And once shit gets out of whack, that's when shit starts getting weird you know
Right. Um, and we don't have to dive too deep on this if you don't want to, but when I was listening to your
yeah,
podcast, you had mentioned something about having an eating disorder or anorexia, and I kind of wanted your opinion on this because I had a friend of mine message me the other day asking about how to do a carnivore diet because, as I mentioned earlier, I did it successful for about 2 years. But what I
yeah,
found is that it's so restrictive that I would be good for maybe a week or two, possibly even 3 weeks, a month, and then the weekend would come and my fiance and I would go out and I would just binge. If I had one carb, dude, it was game over. I was face down in two cheesecakes and a gallon of ice cream and all the cookies in the house were gone. All the junk food was gone. So,
oh,
and I try to tell her this. I'm like, look, you can do carnivore, you'll lose weight, you may feel good, but it's just not that sustainable, or at least it wasn't for me. It may be for you, it may be for different people. There are people who've done it for 10, 11 years, whatever, but don't think that could be you because it's going to be so restrictive. And like I said, for me, it would just end in binge eating. And that's not a healthy behavior, despite, oh, look, I lost all this weight. Once again, kind of goes back to what we were saying. It's healthy, but balance. If you're
balance,
binging
yeah,
on the
it goes back.
weekend, you lost all the progress that you made throughout the week. If you eat 2,000 calories throughout the week and then all of a sudden you have a binge day and you had 7,000 calories, well, now you're back to where you started. Maybe you're even further away from your goals and you feel like shit.
Yeah, yeah, that it really just goes back to the balance thing too. And I'm thankful that you brought up the eating disorder thing, because I'm always more than happy to talk about that. And I've worked with people and helped them through theirs as well. And first thing that I like to point out is it never really goes away.
I remember you
It's
said
kind
that.
of
Yeah.
like it's kind of like an addiction too. That shit
Mhm.
never goes away. You find healthier addictions, you find ways to deal with it. But once you're an addict, you're always an addict. And once most of the time, and once you have an eating disorder, once you're mentally, you got something going on, yeah, odds are you're going to be dealing with it. And maybe you'll be dealing with it really well. And it's almost like it's not there, but odds
Mhm.
are it's going to linger. And any sort of restrictive diet, at least for somebody like me that does suffer from eating disorder, mental issues, if like you said, it gets too restrictive and it gets weird, and it's either I cut myself no slack and I'm militant about it for
Mhm.
way too long, and it starts like you know itching at my soul, and I'm like pissed off at the world because like I'm have to be so strict and I'm eating vegan or carnivore or whatever you box you want to put yourself
Yeah.
into. And then when you finally cut yourself some slack, all hell breaks loose. And it's the same thing for trying to be sober, and then you have a beer, and then the next thing you know, God knows, right? And that's why it's like fuck it, man. It's just like doing a balanced diet, a balanced lifestyle
Mhm.
is really the way to go. I don't know if you're into Buddhism or anything like that at all, but I've studied the Yoga Sutras because I am a yoga teacher, and Buddhism comes right along with that. And there's a really cool theory in Buddhism about, it's called the middle path. And I'm no Buddhist like expert, so anybody listening that like really knows their shit might like be like, this dude's full of shit. Like, whatever, bro. I've read a few books. But the middle path, there's a way of the middle path that's just like, you're not a warrior, but you're not some idiot peasant either. You know what I mean? You got to just have your head on straight and do the best you can and live a little and be hard on yourself when you need to be hard on yourself, and cut yourself slack when you need to cut yourself slack, because at the end of this life, it's going to be over soon, and you should really enjoy yourself, you know?
Right. And I think that's something that a lot of people really, really need to hear. Um, and a lot of people are kind of looking for the quick fix, and they want to, you know, cardio themselves off a cliff, and oh, I'm going to train 6 days a week. I'm going to do 3 hours of cardio every single week. They set up these unrealistic expectations. This kind of gets to another area of conversation that I really wanted to have with you. How do we get people that aren't training at all, but kind of have that inkling like, hey, maybe I should start doing something? How do you get these people going on baby steps? Because for me, what I always found to be sustainable is probably just like walking, because there are tons of researched benefits for just 10-minute walks after meals. Stan Efferding, if you know who that is a big advocate for that. And there was a study done, and I actually breezed through it. The 10-minute walks after meals are actually twice as effective as metformin, which is the most prescribed drug in the world for diabetes. So if these people would just get up and walk for 10 minutes, which is easily sustainable, you could reduce your insulin, you could get off metformin. I mean, that is amazing. So, kind of what are your thoughts about bringing fitness more to the average person or to people who are just kind of looking to get started?
Well, I think that's great that you brought up walking, because I'm a huge advocate of walking as well. I go for walks every single day. Sometimes they're 10 minutes. Sometimes if I have the time, man, there's nothing I like more than like a fucking hour walk in
Oh,
like a real,
absolutely.
you know what I mean? And it's like, it's a meditative experience. I'm a big proponent, of meditation. And, I get that a lot of people freak out and they're like, I can't meditate. I can't do it. Like, going for a walk is a really close second to sitting down and meditating, especially if you have an overactive brain, like I think we all do. I don't think, you're in the minority if you say you can't sit down and concentrate because your mind's going crazy and you're full of anxiety. That's most people, myself included, but going for a walk with or without music, sometimes I love music, but a meditative walk away from your phone, away from shit in your ears that's fucking with you, to just go and experience nature and breathe and just connect with yourself. That is so beyond healthy that, like, if somebody just did that once a week, that's cool with me, man. I'm proud of you if you do that. But to get somebody on like a real physical fitness program, I always, it's different for everybody. So I always like to start with, well, what do you like? And if you're the odds of them coming back to work out, if they're doing something they like, are way higher than if you just like, all right, we're doing fucking burpees and push presses, and I'm gonna fucking run you into the ground. We're gonna lose this weight or whatever. It's lifestyle change. It's forming a new habit, and if you can't form a new habit if you don't like something. So I always try to get down with the person and really try to figure out what they respond well to, and then build their program around that. That's basically it.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's good advice. And,
Yeah.
you know, um, I really think that more people kind of do need to hear that, look, it doesn't have to be you jump off the cliff of fitness. It can be just you can walk into this, you can start. You don't have to go to the gym every single day. You don't have to spend hours and hours and hours and hours on the treadmill. Because honestly, what I think a lot of people don't know is that the more lean mass you have, that the greater and the higher your metabolism is going to be. So, if we introduce people to more resistance training and, just walking, then, okay, if you want to do cardio, that's fine. But, if we get more people lifting and gaining a little bit more muscle, and not, people are always scared that they're going to look like Ronnie Coleman if they do like one deadlift. You know what I mean?
Man,
But
I know. Yeah. I hear that all the time, especially from women clients that are
yeah.
afraid to lift weights. And, I always say, man, if that were true, I would look like Ronnie Coleman. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
if I wear a shirt that's like a little bit too big for me, I look like I've never lifted a weight in my life. So, I think that that's a crazy fear, and everybody with a little bit of muscle just looks better.
Hmm.
Go to the beach, go to the pool. If you have a little bit of muscle, you look a lot better, and you stay a lot leaner, and you stay in longer. You stay in shape way longer than most people. It's if you make these gains naturally and correctly and safely, and you live a better, healthier life, and that shit stays with you for a long time.
Right. And it does seem kind of like the world's gravitating more towards a like a reasonable image of weightlifting and exercise. And it's even kind of nice to see a lot of the performance enhancing drug kind of athletes, the big bodybuilders, kind of come out and talk more openly about their steroid use, because that kind of separates the wheat from the chaff in a way, like people more so understand, okay, that guy's on performance enhancing drugs, and you know I won't look like that unless I do that. And then even a lot of people who do steroids may not have the same kind of response. There's some people who are hyper responders to different things. There's some people who are hyper responders just to lifting weights.
Mhm.
And then, even on the other end of that, there are some guys who are just beasts of freaking cardio who could run, they never ran once before in their life, but, they pick up their shoes and then once they do it once, they're good to go.
Yeah.
There's a spectrum of people who are just genetic freaks.
Yeah, there's always something you're naturally going to be a little bit better at. I was never the strongest person. I was always kind of a skinny, out of shape kid, but I was
Mhm.
always flexible. So, looking back on it, it makes sense that I exceed in yoga because I just have a natural
Mhm.
tendency to be flexible and put my body in crazy weird positions, I guess, which is kind of badass in a way. But some people are just naturally strong, or they're naturally. I had friends in school that they looked at weights and they got veiny and shit. And I was like, fuck, dude, I
Yeah.
have to have to work out for like 6 months to achieve half of that. And it's if you're genetically inclined to bodybuild, to look good, to develop muscle and stuff, you probably use a little bit of steroids will probably like make you look amazing. But for me,
Mhm.
I never tried it because like I know if I did it, it just wouldn't be worth it. I might look like 5% better, but
Mhm.
it's not going to change the world. If I think it's great that people are coming out and talking about what they do drug
Mhm.
wise and performance enhancing and drug wise, because I do think it's important, but I do think it's people should keep in mind that those people or genetic freaks anyway. And if they
Mhm.
didn't take performance enhancing drugs, they would probably still perform and look a whole lot better than you and me.
Yeah, honestly.
You
Yeah,
know?
and I think it's very, very important to hear. And especially because I remember even in like 2010-ish, around probably when I first started working out, you look at these people in these magazines and like I remember seeing Cali Muscle. It's like this dude's huge and he's claiming to be natural, or like Mike Rashid. And
Right.
are they? Maybe. Or
Maybe.
Mike O'Hearn, Mike O'Tren.
Yeah, Myco trend. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone says, or he says he's natural, and is he? Well, maybe. You've seen a picture of the dude. I think he was like 14 years old, and my God, the dude is huge.
Yeah.
But that goes.
He's a freak of nature. He very well could be. I'm not saying he's not. I'm not saying, but I'm also not saying he's not doing every fucking thing else in the book besides what he says he's not doing.
Uh-huh.
And he doesn't. I mean, to look like that, no matter what,
Mhm.
you have to work your ass off.
Absolutely.
You have to be super dedicated. Your diet has to be dialed into the
Mhm.
max, and you have to live, eat, and breathe like that lifestyle to look like that. And whether you're on drugs or not, I respect it. But
Absolutely.
I think a lot of people have a distorted view of that whole thing. So it's cool for people to come out and talk about it. You know,
Right, right. So, I guess
I've never tried them, by the way. Full disclosure.
yeah, no, neither have I. I've kind of looked at it and thought, it'd be kind of cool, but
Yeah,
I
I've
guess
thought about it.
there's potential downsides, and I feel pretty damn good where I'm at now. I'm strong. I would like to be stronger, but everybody wants to be a little stronger. Everybody wants to be a little leaner. Whatever.
Yeah. You're never
Um,
gonna get there.
yeah. So you and I kind of had a similar deal growing up, where we were both kind of heavy metal kids.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
I guess
still
just get
are.
yeah, yeah. But give like a brief background of kind of what brought you to heavy metal.
Oh man. I was always, I guess horror came first.
Okay.
I always kind of was attracted to for whatever reason, the darker, weirder, more extreme side of life. I was always looking for something a little more. And from a young age, I always wanted to watch. I remember asking my mom, "Can we get this movie?" And it was Evil Dead 2, and she's a
Uh,
fantastic mother, so she was like, "Absolutely, there's no problem with you watching this when you're 3. Nothing's gonna happen to you." And look how I turned out. So that came first, and I think it was just a natural progression from there. Well, if that was the art and that was the movies that I was into, you know, top 40 radio just wasn't going to cut it for me in school. And I was always looking for something a little bit more. And I guess it started with, like the Misfits were a natural next step from horror movies. I love the imagery of death metal a lot more than I like the music at first. Like I liked looking at like the death records because they had like zombies
oh,
on them and
beautiful artwork. Yeah.
yeah, all that artwork and even Megadeth and Iron Maiden. Like I love that look, that like classic metal artwork, But what really did it for me though, I was Kiss, and
Really?
Alice Cooper and Rob Zombie. Those are the top three that really got me into music and going to see those shows live. I mean, the whole theatrical experience, I just was really drawn in. And that was, I was a kid still, like 13, 12, and you always want to look for something a little more than that, When you're 10, you think Kiss are like these heavy metal demon rock stars and like, oh my God, they're the heaviest shit ever. And then, you want a little bit more. And then you discover Slayer and, Death and Cannibal Corpse, like I was talking about. And I just found myself in kind of that subculture, and I was, looking for myself and a place to belong. And I think that's why a lot of us fucked up kids end up at shows like that and in horror movies and horror conventions and even the gym, even powerlifting and, very similar stories, very similar mentalities. So
Yeah.
that's
So,
where that came from.
what was your first concert?
Well, I have two answers to this question. One's really lame and one's really awesome. I'm going to give you the lame one first. My mom took me to see, when I was 10 years old, Bon Jovi and Nickelback.
Nice.
Yeah. And I thought it was cool. I didn't really know
Oh
any
yeah,
of
of
the songs,
course.
but I was
Yeah.
like, it was cool. Like it's a rock show. It was at a stadium. It was at Heinz Field, if you're familiar with the Pittsburgh area.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh shit, this is like a loud rock show, and there's a bunch of girls. I'm like, okay, I can dig this. And when I went and was like, okay, I really want to go see this show, was Mayhem Festival, the first Mayhem Fest that Slipknot was headlining, because I love Slipknot.
Oh no way.
They
Yeah.
looked like fucking, Leatherface. And I was like, yeah, this is where I belong. So my first real concert was the first ever Mayhem Festival. It was Slipknot and Disturbed were the two main headliners. And I was in since then. I was like, I've sold my soul. Here we go. I'm in. Machine Head was on the side stage. Five Finger Death Punch when they had
Yeah.
like first album, Five Finger Death Punch. It was fucking
Yeah.
awesome, dude.
Right.
Yeah, being 13, and it's like, yeah, I found my people, and that from there it was all downhill.
I'm kind of glad you kind of went there because it's so funny. As a mechanic, I work with strictly like boomer con guys. I mean, these guys will tell you that you're gonna get like stabbed, raped, and killed at a heavy metal concert. But you,
I've been there, yes.
yeah, yeah. If you go there, you will not find a single angry person. But you know what I hear a ton about and what I see a lot of? You go to a country concert, what's everybody doing? They're fucking pissed drunk and fighting out in the
Fighting,
parking lot. And there's
yeah.
people thrown up off the side of their truck, whatever. But you go to a heavy metal concert, someone falls over, you pick them up, you're running, you're up next to some sweaty fat guy that you don't even know, and you are screaming right next to each other. There's a very, very awesome sense of unity there.
Oh yeah, man. I couldn't have said it better myself. And I actually always bring up that example. I'm like, the only time I ever really ran into trouble or saw fights is when I was at this stupid fucking Kenny Chesney concert with a bunch of people,
Hmm.
and you just see it's like a giant frat party gone wrong. And you
Yeah.
never experience that in a metal show ever.
No.
Right.
No, even at like Mayhem Festival, that probably had like 20,000 people that would go there. It never
Yeah.
turned out to be a disaster. Even when I saw Metallica down in Baltimore, it wasn't like that.
Right. And even if like somebody is like that, everyone's like, oh, that guy is like the asshole. Like
Yeah, get
fuck
this
him.
guy the fuck
Yeah.
out of here.
Right. Yeah. So if it happens, it's not on that scale at all. And I think it just comes from unity and having a common interest in mind. We're all here for each other and we're all here for the music, and it's just this like unspoken respect, that
Mhm.
goes down. And a lot of people misunderstand mosh pits for that reason. It looks like a
Yeah.
bunch of people beating each other up, but it's really not.
No.
It's really a bunch of people helping each other out at the end of the day.
Mhm.
It's an outlet and we're running around. And like you said, if you fall, man, you're getting picked right the fuck back up. No big
Yeah.
deal.
So I remember my first concert was Job for a Cowboy, Guar, and Lamb of God. I was 15 years old, and I'll never
Yeah.
forget when Guar first came to the stage. Everybody got pushed forward. I remember Odorous had a sword. This was back in 2009 or 2010 at
Where did you see the show at? Because I was at that show, that tour. I don't know if we were at the same concert, that'd be fucking awesome.
Station Square Amphitheater in Pittsburgh.
I 100% was there, bro, with my buddy.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like in the fall. It was cold. I
Yeah.
remember
Yeah,
like
because I
that. Yeah,
remember
it was
walking out with the
amazing.
food dye all over me. I'm
Yeah,
like, holy fuck, it's cold.
yeah. The same thing, man. That was awesome, dude. That was
Yeah,
one of my first shows. Yeah.
yeah, that was the first one I ever went to, and I remember walking outside the gates and feeling the ground shaking when Job for a Cowboy was playing. And I don't like know anything by them. I didn't like them back then. I'd be a lot more open to listen to them now, but all my friends really liked them. I just don't know anything about them. And like I said, I just strictly remember Guar going on, getting absolutely soaked, and hey, Cyborg, give me that twatus pussy fuckhole.
Yeah,
Fucking jams a
yeah.
sword into the baby and it's spraying blood everywhere. Oh my God. I will never forget that as long as I live. I think I
I
seen Guar three or four more times with Odorous, and I met Corey Smoot too. Their one guitar player who is Flatus before he passed away.
okay. Yeah,
Actually, I never met
you did. Yeah.
Dave Brocky, but yeah, I seen them. I want to say three or four times with Odorous before they changed singers. I only seen them once with the new singer. With the new singer, they're still pretty good, but it's definitely not the same.
Not the same. He brought something just totally unique to it. Yeah, rest in
Mhm.
peace, Odorous Urungus. But
Absolutely.
Guar's great. They know their brand. They're doing it well. I
Mhm.
just saw them not a month ago. They were
Okay.
through. They're playing. They're on Scum Dogs of the Universe. Their like 20th anniversary tour, and they're playing the whole
Mhm.
record.
Ah,
The
that's
original record.
awesome.
It's fun. It was a ton of fun, man. They're still
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Well, you know what's awesome about Guar is that they have a very, very diverse discography. And I never really hear anybody talk about that, but at like I want to say it was, excuse me, 2004, Violence Has Arrived came out, and that was like their first dive into like the more heavier, thrashy kind of stuff. And I
Okay.
absolutely love all their newer stuff past there. And not that I didn't like any of their stuff prior. I liked all like the more punk stuff, but like everything they did was fucking fantastic. Like the
I agree with
punk,
you, man.
the thrashy stuff, especially thrashy stuff, just because I'm more of like a early 2000s metalcore kind of guy. But I love the punk stuff. I love all their heavy stuff too. They're a band that really just grew in sound and was always solid.
I agree with you, man. I feel like they're one of those bands that, I mean, rightfully so. They have such a huge live show. They're like a band that people go see live and not listen to as much on record. But if you really
Yeah.
give them a chance, they have some great shit. So for
Hmm.
sure, big Guar fan.
Yeah.
Since
Yeah.
that show, that was the first time I saw Guar, that 2009 show, and I've been a fan ever since.
I also saw, I want to say it was probably my third concert. My second concert, I believe, was Kiss. Right.
Nice.
I want to say it was like a year or two after that, or it might have been that summer. I can't exactly recall. And then I want to say my third one was at the Station Square Amphitheater. I love that venue. It was Children of Bodom, Clutch, and Black Label Society.
Oh, cool, man. Yeah, I didn't go to that one, but
Mhm.
I bet that was great. They don't really do shows there anymore, which is disappointing because that
Well,
was a great place.
yeah, I don't know. I think it's a soccer field or something now. I don't know if they tore down the stage or if they just don't do shows anymore. Obviously, most places now book through Stage AE, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm a little salty about there not being a Pittsburgh Station Square Amphitheater anymore, just because that was where I went to my first concert.
me
I look
too,
at
man.
Stage AE and I'm like,
Not the same.
not the
It's
same.
not the same. But a lot of great shows come to Stage AE,
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
if you remember before there was Stage AE, we didn't really get that mid-sized show,
Yeah.
the that was a rare exception for bands to come to the Station Square amphitheater. Then there
Mhm.
was nowhere for a band like Lamb of God to go that was too big to play a
Mhm.
club, but couldn't play the Peterson Event Center or an arena. When Stage AE
Yeah.
came in, and we started getting Machine Head all the time, and
Mhm.
mid-size acts like that. And, so I do love Stage AE for that reason. It really filled a void
Absolutely, yeah.
in Pittsburgh that we needed. And I'm there quite a bit.
Mhm.
Stage AE has a lot of my money, especially when
Yeah. Yeah, right, Yeah, I don't drink nearly as much as I used to anymore. My God, about 3 or 4 years ago, I was spending a night in a bar all the time, but that was that was probably part of the reason why I gained a whole ton of weight. And
for sure.
I guess kind of circling back to what we were talking about earlier, and we can kind of wrap up after this. Um,
Okay.
I thought just because I was working out, I was healthy. I work out, I'm healthy. Well, I was 250 pounds. I I had suicidal thoughts, and this isn't something that I like talking about because I feel like it almost asks people for a pity party. Well, I'm not looking for a pity party. This was my experience. At 250 pounds, I was miserable. I was achy, but I thought I was healthy, and I thought, okay, well, maybe I'm just getting old. I was 23, 24 at the time, well, it's just part of the aging process. Well, little did I know once I lost a ton of weight and, kind of honed in on my exercise and more so holistic health, that that would be alleviated, that I wouldn't have as many aches and pains. And I guess my question to you would be, do you think that if we get more people to start training and get more people to kind of just take steps towards their health, that maybe we would see some chronic disease and small aches and pains go away? Because in my field, mechanics, all these guys
Mhm.
are old and broken. Well, is it the job or is it the lifestyle? I think it's probably the lifestyle.
More often than not, most people eat inflammatory diets. Like, everything comes from what you give your body. So
Mhm.
if you give your body, one of my favorite things I heard someone say once, I can't take credit for it, but it was, whatever you put in your body either fights disease or feeds it. It's either medicine or it's poison,
Mhm.
right? So if you're giving your body medicine on a regular basis, odds of you having less joint issues as you age, less issues, period, at any age, is like astronomically higher. So if we eat and take care of ourselves just with a little bit more effort and a little bit more mindfulness, I think that will go way farther than just merely lifting weights. Because like you said before, even when myself, when I started lifting weights for a while, I was drinking every night, eating wings, and you can pull that off if you're just
Mhm.
going in and being a meathead in the gym. And that doesn't mean you're healthy at
Right.
all. In fact, it's a lot of the times, I mean, you might gain muscle and you're going to gain strength, but that's just a lot of repetitive stress on your body on top of the inflammatory diet you're eating and drinking, and it becomes a physiological mess. That's why I love yoga so much, because that lifestyle with yoga does not fly. It does not feel good to be hungover and do yoga. I've had
Mhm.
fantastic strength workouts when I was hungover, and I'm sure you have too. You know what I mean? Like, if you drink a bunch of beer the night before, you're going to get a good pump in the gym the next day. That's a real thing.
Mhm.
Um, don't try this at home, kids. But yoga, it doesn't work like that. And yoga really got me focused on, okay, I have to take care of my being on the inside, and I really have to like be healthy, not just go to the gym to lift and be strong and look good, because you can pull that off when you're young. As you age, not so much. So I think it's all of that. I definitely would never say no. I don't want people to start working out more, because of course everybody should train more. But I think
Mhm.
we really just need a whole mindset shift and a refocus on how we're treating our bodies, what we're putting into it, and how we take care of it. You're a mechanic. Well, you should come home and you should stretch quite a bit after doing an intense job like that. Your knuckles tighten up, your neck tightens up, your back.
Mhm.
Twisting yourself in all kinds of weird positions. I can only imagine.
Yeah.
And that's going to preserve yourself. As you age. So just being more mindful of what we put in our body and how we take care of it. whether that's weightlifting or just stretching. Just eat right and live a balanced life, man. You know.
I couldn't think of a better way to wrap. Zach, go ahead, plug your shit, man, and we'll get out of here.
Oh, dude. Well, thank you for having me, man. Again, this was a blast. It's cool to do an interview like this. I usually it's like just music or whatever, so it's cool
Mhm.
to talk about health.
Of course.
Death comes lifting everywhere. That's it. Check it out. Where if you Google it, you're gonna find us. We're everywhere. You're not getting rid of me as much as they'd like to. You know, that's where we're at, man.
Nice,
So,
nice. Well, I will put your website on the show notes. Um, and I want to thank you for coming on. It was a
oh
blast.
yeah,
We'll have to do it
anytime.
again. And yeah, till next time, everybody. This is Liberty and Health. Take care.